Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach. And today I'm talking about the importance when someone has dumped you to just move on, right? So, there's a lot of videos out there, on, ways to get your ex back and things like that. And sometimes those techniques can work. I speak about them on my channel a lot. So, for example, going into no contact often helps reattract an ex that still cares about you. Walking away, those sort of things. So sometimes it gets to a point though where you just have to move on. You just have to accept that they are gone. And I'm going to basically talk about that today. So the first thing obviously that you need to kind of figure out, because obviously I don't know your personal situation, is, how to tell basically if this person is still worth waiting for. Now, the reason that basically how you tell this is if they still contact you, if they're still kind of in contact with you in some way, so they're still messaging you directly, basically, they might be still calling you up, they might be still asking how you are. They may even say like that they miss you and things like that. So those are good signs that, this person still does care about you, still loves you, still wants you in their life. But if you have, let's say, and also if it's just the breakup has just been recent, so it's literally happened, a couple of weeks ago or a few days ago. But if it's been months, if there's been such a big gap between you breaking up and, and in between that gap, they haven't spoken to you, especially recently, let's say within the last couple of months, they haven't spoken to you at all. And maybe they've blocked you, maybe they haven't blocked you, maybe they've moved on, they're in a new relationship. When it comes to those kinds of situations, you do really need to move on. You just need to let it go because it's doing you more damage than good if you are still hung up over someone, 5 months later, 10 months later, years later. You just need to move on. You need to let it go. And it might be the case that you're feeling really low about relationships because usually if it's taken you, a lot of months to get over someone and you're still not over it, you're still hoping that they're going to come back, you're still looking up videos on the no contact rule, you're still hoping that they're coming back, then I would recommend that you actually go and speak to, especially if you feel really low about it as well and you just... Because I have spoken to a couple of people, there's a few kind of groups on Facebook that I'm in, which are about, personal development and things like that, motivation, things about like my favorite authors, groups about those kinds of people. And I was speaking to a guy once in a comment section and he just seemed so jaded. Like he just said something along the lines of, I really loved my ex and I just don't want to be with anybody else. I just don't want to meet anyone else. And, I looked on his profile and he seemed like a relatively young person. And what I probably say to someone like that, if that's you, that say you're just too tired, you just can't be bothered to find someone. Or it might be the case that you've never had a girlfriend or a boyfriend and you just feel really jaded and you really wanted someone, but you've just got to a point where you've just got rejected so many times, you just have like a really jaded look on, a tired look on finding romance and stuff. What I would say to you is, you need to go and speak to some sort of therapist about that kind of thing, because it might be the case that you just have a really low mood and you might be suffering from some kind of mental illness or something like that. And, you need to find a way to get your mojo back, basically, because, it can be the case that you've just tried so hard to move on and you've got to a point where you don't even feel like moving on. You just want to wallow in your own misery. And that is a common thing that sometimes happens. So I really recommend, if you feel that way, if you feel really jaded about relationships and you feel really tired and you just feel awful and you just can't be bothered and you're just, kind of got to a point where you're like, I'm just going to be alone forever, then you really do need to speak to some kind of medical professional about these thoughts that you're having, and see what they can do to help you. There are obviously some things that you can do, but I think medical help with that kind of thing is probably best. If you're finding it really difficult to move on and you don't really want to move on, you just want to kind of be in love with them from afar forever, and you don't want to find anyone else, and you have like this kind of bad view about finding someone else, a really tired, kind of tired view about it. So there are some things obviously you can do. So obviously one of them is, getting enough fresh air and exercise, focusing on other hobbies, getting that momentum back. So one of the things that I found recently was I got sick for a good few weeks, and it happened like I had one illness after another. So I had one bad illness, and then there was a couple of weeks in between that, and then I got another illness. And basically what it did is it made my motivation go down a lot, and I was suffering from a low mood. And because I had that low mood and my momentum just stopped because I literally had to stop, it made things a lot worse. And the only thing I really could do was, speak to, do my client things, the people that were actually paying me. That's the only thing that I could really do. So that's why there was a big gap in videos. I was focusing a lot on clients because for whatever reason, there was an influx of clients the last sort of section of 2021 and at the beginning of 2022. But all in all, basically, I lost a lot of momentum because I got sick, over, a short period of time, 2 big illnesses. So when that's what happens when momentum stops. So basically, you just need to get yourself, back up the hill and start, getting that momentum back. Start the ball rolling again and getting back to a place where, you're, actively doing stuff. Because it might be the case that you're feeling so low about it that you don't want to do anything. But what you need to do in that kind of certain aspect is you need to find other things that you can do other activities. Don't just be sitting at home watching TV or playing video games or anything like that. Do stuff that's good for you. Do stuff that is actually going to help you, because that's what's going to help you, move on. Especially if you do have this viewpoint of, I don't want to find anyone else. Sometimes you just have to get to a point where you can, start doing things again and start feeling better about yourself. Because, when you go for a breakup, it does lower your self-esteem, especially if you were the one that got dumped. So, it can make you feel really, really bad about yourself, and it can, stop your momentum, because, when you break up with someone, it kind of disrupts your life in such a huge way, especially if you were together for a long time. So I can completely understand if your momentum has kind of dropped and you've just basically, been stuck for a while. So, you have to really walk away from this relationship. You really have to move on. You really have to kind of get it in your head that this person isn't coming back, and you need to focus on other things and stop focusing on her or him, whoever it was that you broke up with. You need to just move on. If it's been months or years since the breakup, you just have to let it go. Because guess what? If they really wanted to be with you, if they really missed you, if they really wanted to rekindle things, then they would be doing so. They would be trying to do that. They would be reaching out to you. They would be doing whatever they could basically to get you back, right? And if they're not doing that, if they don't care, if they have just simply moved on, then you have to move on as well. There is no other way around it. You have to go through it, right? And you can't, change the clocks back. You can't rewind time. You have to move on if it's been such a long time since the breakup. So I hope that's helped you. I hope it's made you realize that there may be a couple of things that you need to do to help get the momentum back so you can start feeling better about yourself. I hope I've encouraged you, if you are feeling low, to go and seek out a therapist. I'm just a coach. I'm not a therapist. I can't offer any medical advice. I can only obviously tell you that if you feel like you need medical advice, then I highly recommend that you go and seek it, because you don't want to live like that any longer. There's no way to live. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, if there's anything you would like me to discuss in a future video, then please leave it down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.